Okay, we are live. This is Attorney Vince Davis, and this is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. I'm joined by my two co-hosts. First, we have Miss G from Los Angeles County, California. Hello, Miss G. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Anything going on exciting
In LA?
with you?
Oh, no, just working. That's just working. Nothing exciting here. Just working.
All right, we have our other co-host all the way from the state of Maine, Mr. Darren Guai. Hello, Mr. Guai.
How are we doing tonight, Mr. D?
Good. What's going on with you?
I put the suit jacket on tonight for you. I wanted to look a little fancy, so I threw one of my suits on for you.
Got the little handkerchief going there, and this.
Look at that. I put it in myself. Not nice.
Nice.
This is my Ralph Lauren. This one is. This is nice.
Very nice.
Yes, thank you.
I see we have a special guest tonight. Star, where are you coming from?
New Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey. What part?
Middlesex. Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I was in New Jersey. You know what I found surprising? The part I was in?
What?
A place called Lebanon, New Jersey. You familiar with that?
Yeah.
How green it was. I live out here in the desert in Los Angeles. I mean,
I want to visit.
but Lebanon, New Jersey was very, very green and lush and trees and, everything and deer and, animals. I was shocked.
New Jersey?
Yeah.
I thought that New Jersey was just a highway with a bunch of toll booths.
Well, there's more to New Jersey just than the urban jungle.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't like the state. When I was growing up, it was good. It was okay. But, in the past maybe 15 years, it just went downhill,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they took Atlantic City away, and that was that.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no more Atlantic City?
Not like it was.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and Seaside Heights and everything after, the storm with Sandy Hook. I mean, not the same.
Yeah, they took down all the old restaurants and hotels and everything.
Well, in New Jersey, on the boardwalk, they had one or two big Trump Hotel casinos. Are they still there?
The Taj Mahal got taken down, right? Because that was right next to the Showboat. I'm pretty sure I know the Showboat went.
Yeah, I believe so. I haven't been there in a little while, but I mean, everything is just changed. It's not the same.
I used to go there all the time.
Okay, so what's going on, Star, with you and CPS and NJ?
Well, okay, so in order for you to understand what has happened with these people since 2018, I need to give you a little bit of back history so it'll make sense to you.
Go for it.
So my son's father, I have a 29-year-old, but I had her when I was 18. Okay. I raised her, and then I had my son when I was 34, 35. And they have two different fathers. His father I went to school with. So we grew up in the same town. I knew his family knew mine. And they're police officers. Okay. And we got engaged and sorry about that. We got engaged and planned, he wanted a son. So we planned that, and, I got pregnant. I was working in the hospital. And I had a strange feeling he was up to certain things. He was acting weird. I worked on the 4th floor, which was the addiction floor. Okay. So he worked during the day. I worked at night. During the day, I went in his lockbox and I found things that he shouldn't have had. If, I'm not going to get into it, but you guys, I'm sure, know what I'm talking about. So I went to work. I called him. I told him to get out. He got out, but he threatened to shoot me while I was pregnant. Now, I had no other choice but to call the police. They put a TRO, okay, and then eventually put a permanent. I didn't want the permanent, but the court was like, you're pregnant, you're having a child, we can't chance it. They put it on anyway, the permanent restraining order. Okay, so that was that. 6 months after I had my son, he passed away. He overdosed, he passed away. I wasn't living with him. He was living, like 2 hour and a half, maybe 2 hours away from me.
6 months.
So his family wanted to be a part of my son's life. I said, fine, that's fine. I did a paternity test for them, even though his sister and all of them knew our plans to get married and have a baby and all of that. I did it anyway without, I just, okay, 9.5 years raising my son. Everything is fine. I get into an argument with the paternal aunt. Next thing I know, I have CPS in my life. Now, because they're police officers, everything that they say, even if they don't have any proof, which they don't because everything that they said, I never did any of it, they're still winning anyway. And the court denied terminating my rights 4 times. They found it to be inappropriate and unacceptable. They broke court orders. They came into my house without a warrant, a signed court order by a judge. They dragged my son down a flight of steps. They banged his head. He's got facial tics now and voice tics. They told him they reversed the story about me and his dad, and said that everything that his dad was doing, it was me, which how could it even possibly be? I was pregnant, you know okay, and I was a high risk pregnancy at that. So because it was just harder for me with a boy, I guess. Boys are a little bit more difficult than girls carrying them, for me anyway. um and I went to the Dodd hearing, and the judge that already knew my case was on vacation, conveniently on vacation. So they kept him in foster care for 4 months first when they took him. Then the paternal aunt got him, and her allegation against me was, I'm a drug addict, I'm crazy, okay. I used to make my son go to stores and steal things, and if he didn't, I would beat him up or hit him or whatever she said. Every allegation that you could put on someone, they put on me. When one didn't stick, they went to something else. If that didn't stick, they went to something else. Each time they had no evidence, they had nothing. I went to court over 34 times. Okay. The final trial, I'm like kind of cutting it short because I know, it'll be hours if I tell you everything that they did. I did all of their services, Mr. Davidson. I did everything that they wanted me to do. I didn't complain. I wasn't very nice to them. I'm not going to lie to you, because these people wouldn't leave me alone. At one point, I was with them 5 days a week. I mean, this case is a mess. They've told so many lies that any attorney that looks at this case is like, oh my. And it's just like, I don't understand. If they're not breaking the law in what they're doing, how do they not have evidence and only hearsay from from doctors, like a doctor that I don't even know? You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know that doctor. She's testifying. A caseworker that I never met is testifying. And I'm like, you have people perjuring themselves in here. My son went to court and told them, I don't even know what drugs are. Because he didn't know what drugs are. I hadn't had that kind of talk with him yet. You know? I mean, and as far as crazy, I mean, how did you get I'm crazy? I've never been in an institution. I've never, you know, but I talked to a lawyer and they said, well, what are you doing to get your son back? You have to do services to get your son back. And this was just like a random attorney that you could call for a free consultation. So I did. And I said, well, I'll do whatever they want as long as they're going to give my son back to me. I really don't care, you know? So I did every single thing and was successfully done. I even had supervised visits at one point, and the lady that was doing the supervised visits, she worked for them for 19 years. She testified against them. And the judge said that she was protecting me. My doctor, she testified for me. She is an addiction specialist. She told them she is not a drug addict. She is not crazy. She does, you know, she does therapy too. Not intense, but you know, and you know, these people, I mean, I was sexually assaulted by one of their contract. It's hard to talk about this. By one of their contracted entity employees. Okay. And then my son was abused when they took him out of here. I mean, the case is a mess. They committed parental alienation. They never, they broke court orders because they were supposed to tell my son about drugs because he didn't know what they were. And I didn't want him to know. You know, he didn't need to know what drugs were. Even though I didn't do them, he still didn't. He was a kid, you know? And they just did all of these things. And I know that it was the grandfather that had everything to do with this because I had mediation with that side of the family. Now, if that prosecutor was there interrogating me, if he was representing CPS, why did I have mediation with a paternal aunt and he's interrogating me, not letting me speak to her, and that's supposed to be mediation? Like, I don't understand. The only thing that I can say is that grandfather has pull. He is an ex-chief of police and he has pull. And they want my son because their son passed away. And he gets a survivor benefit check. And it's not a small one because his dad worked for Hazmat. So these people literally took my son because they just wanted him and they knew that they couldn't fight me with just a lawyer trying to get custody. So they went through CPS to do this. I mean, how was I fit to raise a child when I'm 18? Okay, I was only a kid when I got pregnant. I was 17 and 18 when I had her. And I went to 19 and I built my career from there in that, healthcare, How did I do that? Being crazy and being a drug addict, but yet I'm not fit at 47 years old to raise my son? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, it it doesn't, they don't. And I asked my lawyer, which is of course the public defender, because the lawyers I spent money on lied about their competency and stole thousands of dollars from me. $10,000 that they stole from me. So I've just been put through the ringer with all of these people, and I am not going to call myself a victim. My son is the victim.
Yeah, right. Good job.
My son is the victim. I'm
Mhm.
How old is your son? How old is your son when they took him?
now he's 1.5. Now he's 14. And,
Oh.
and, they just terminated my rights, in March, and then we appealed it, and they just didn't even bother looking at the case. They just let me wait for months and months and months and said, we're not overturning it. So now we filed a civil action. But I know what's going to happen, Mr. Davis. I know what's going to happen. These judges are not going to stick up for me. Even though I have the witnesses, I have the evidence, I even have the incident report from the police that there was no warrant, no court order signed by a judge. I mean, right there, they should have thrown it out of court. There was no imminent danger here. My son was laying on the couch playing a video game, and we were cooking dinner. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon. He had just gotten home from school, a few hours ago. And and the last time I had seen the caseworker, she had told my son, this is the last you're going to see of me. And then she comes back and takes my son like a week later. Like, so after they took him and he was at his aunt's, I did more services. I was on medication for getting T-boned in a car accident. So you know what I did? I was getting back surgeries, injections, and all those things that they give you, the orthopedic surgeon gives you. I put myself in a 30-day program that I didn't even need and blemished my record. You know what I mean? Blemished my own character. Just so I could say to them, okay, look, I don't even take medication anymore. I'm not going to get any more surgeries on my back. I'm not going to do any of that. And I even stopped smoking cigarettes. I stopped, I wasn't doing drugs. I stopped smoking cigarettes. I didn't take any medication. I didn't do nothing. And I'm just like, I can't win with these people. I've done everything. Everything. They assigned me a therapist to come here twice a week because she wouldn't lie for them. They fired her.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
She called me crying. And and these people are so narcissistic that I'll be in the court waiting room with them. They're there to take my son, and they're asking me, how's your morning? Good morning. When they took him, it was 2 days before Mother's Day, and they wished me happy Mother's Day. It's my son. It's my only son. And just because his aunt is married, that's not his mother and father. And I wasn't gonna just bring some strange guy and marry him so that there could be a married couple in the house. You know what I mean? Like, I don't bring men around my son in that way. I don't do that. It's wrong. My focus wasn't on getting married or having boyfriends. My focus was on my son. That's why I didn't go back to work after his dad died, because I was like, well, he doesn't have both parents now. I'm just going to be a stay-at-home mom until he's a little bit older, and then I'll go back to work.
But you being a single mom should not be playing a role of deception to remove your child from you. I mean, you being a single mom, there's a lot of single moms who raise their children on their own without a man's help.
I raised my daughter.
Yeah, so there's a lot out there. So that has nothing, they're making it look that way. But Star, they're going to make excuses from left and right, up and down, until you're so exhausted. They would look at the truth in the eye and still call it a lie. That's why you think you're dealing with a narcissistic system. Absolutely. And the ones who are dealing with the system along inside the system are also part of that. So yes, they know how to play the game to traumatize you and to make you crazy.
When I called the court to ask how much the prosecutor's bond was, they hung up on me.
Yep.
And then when I called back, they let it go to voicemail. They think that I'm stupid and that I don't know that the grandfather can go in there and make a donation to the judge anonymously.
Of course.
I'm not stupid.
And they also make it to the court, to the children's minors councils as well too.
And also, when they used to get drunk, when I was on good terms with them, they used to tell me how corrupt they really were. Mm-hmm. When my son's father died, they found him and they cleaned the crime scene before they called the police. Even though, they're officers, that's a conflict of interest. They were off duty and they went to visit him. They cleaned all the drugs and all the money and valuables, and then they called 911. You're not supposed to do that when you find someone dead in their house. You call 911 and you don't touch anything. Ridiculous.
When this happened to you, when this case first started,
yeah,
did you communicate with the social worker like she's your friend and you thought you trusted her, or
no?
So you never communicated with them. Did you get an attorney immediately?
Yeah, I had to be around them and I had to talk to them because of court order. I wouldn't let them in, and they would come. It might have been a fake one, I don't know, but they would come and say, well, look, we have to see that your son is okay. Well, my son was okay every time. Okay. And my son, when they take a child, they take them to the doctor.
Their own doctor, sweetheart. The one that lies for them. Yeah.
I know. And I know they don't see, that's the problem. They know that I know all of the things that they do. And they hate me because I tell them in court. I will object in court if they lie and my lawyer doesn't. And if my lawyer says something to me, I'm like, well, you're not doing your job.
Was he a court-appointed attorney, or was he, well, obviously he's not doing his job, because he would be fired just like the therapist was fired. So.
But Steve hired those attorneys. They lied about their competency, and then they went and had lunch with the adversary, and they robbed me for $10,000, over $10,000. So it's like, I not only did they take my son, but I lost everything. And then on top of it, My mom got sick. My dad got sick. My daughter got sick. I got sick. I have an underactive thyroid. I have all kinds of stuff going on now. And I just like, all of this would be relieved if you would just give me my son.
But honey, they don't care about your health. They want you to die.
I know.
That's what they want. They don't want you to live, because if
Well,
you live, you're gonna fight them. They don't want you to fight them. That's
I'll
what
fight them.
I understand, and you should. And the fact that the system is so corrupt the way it is, they keep targeting innocent people. But what I've learned throughout the years is that they're not focused so much on taking the children who really need help.
No, they're not.
That's right. I understand. Yeah, I understand. And usually,
That you can go to the stores around here, they all know me, and they will tell you. They will tell you. And none of this evidence is ever presented. No, none of it is ever presented. And
so
I'm
it's hearsay. It's all hearsay. It's that whatever the social worker said is whatever is
Yeah.
evidence for them. Yeah.
And I asked my lawyer that I have now, I asked him, I said, they don't have evidence because I didn't do anything. He says, I know. I said, well, then why aren't you reporting this? It's a crime. How do you know for a fact that they don't have evidence and you're not reporting this? Why?
Because if he reports it, he's going to get in trouble.
By them, right?
Yes.
Do you know what to me, Grace?
Huh?
I filed one of my civil actions a couple of years ago. They set fire to my bedroom window, and luckily I had insomnia or I would have been dead. My mom was in the ambulance for 2.5 hours getting oxygen. Like, these people are crazy. They drive by my house. They throw liquor bottles at my door. I don't even go near those people. I don't want to be near them. They're toxic, and I can't.
Yeah.
Be.
And I'm sure they followed you around everywhere you went, and in unknown vehicles. Yeah.
He's a week.
I know. I know.
And then they expect me not to hate them.
Hate is an understatement.
Exactly. Like, I think when I was younger, I don't like this person. No.
I never knew hate when I was growing up, but actually I've learned hate
through them.
Experienced hate through them. And I swear to my God, Christ, that I never knew that there is such corruption in America. I never knew
that it was like this. Yeah. Like, I knew that I look like a clown now because my mascara's all over.
Okay, sweetie.
But I knew that there was corruption and police brutality, like, certain.
No, you knew something. I didn't even know about the corruption in the police department. I didn't know. I was so clueless.
Well, I've seen things on TV, where people got beat at traffic stops and stuff like that. But, I mean, I've never seen people able to steal a child.
Exactly.
And then the way that they put it in legal terms is that they have stolen property.
They belong to the state.
That's disgusting.
I was talking to an attorney right before the show, actually 30 minutes before the show, and she told me that once you sign the safety plan, you're literally signing your rights for the state to take over, meaning you should never, ever sign. You never signed it? Then you should have hired an attorney immediately.
I had the only thing after those attorneys did what they did with that money, I had no more money to hire another attorney. I had
You settled for the court-appointed attorneys. I said you
I
should have.
had I had to sell my car and everything. Like they robbed me. They took my son. Like they just left me with nothing. With nothing. And I don't care about money. I don't care about the car. The car can be replaced. I don't care. It's just the point that I did every single thing that you can possibly do to get my child back. And they just become that cop's family. I mean, my doctor told me that because she has a private office and I go there, and then she has a clinic, she works at a clinic. She told me that there's crackheads that get their kids back, and I'm not even, I don't even, I'm not even in that category. You know what I mean? Like, when you go to a rehab, if you're a drug addict, they'll give you IOP when you have to come out. I didn't have IOP. They didn't give me IOP. They didn't. I was actually helping the other girls in our closed groups when we had the smaller groups, because I didn't do any of the things that those people did. I'm not saying I'm a perfect person. Everybody, it makes mistakes. But as far as my kids, I didn't do anything to my kids. Like, you know? And I read the incident report, and it said a CPS worker went in there and said that I failed a drug test. Well, I didn't fail a drug test, but even if I failed a drug test, okay, you don't know when that was. This was what somebody else was saying to me, because this happened to them. They said, yeah, well, I said to the CPS worker, this is what the person told me. You don't know where I was if I did something. And I said, well, do your kids know about drugs? They're like, no. I'm like, well, then I don't get it. I don't get it. Because I didn't even do it. They had me go back.
But why was it important for a 5-year-old to know about drugs, if I may ask?
Well, my son was 9.5. Yeah,
Oh.
Why was it important though for my son to know about drugs?
Yeah, why is that important?
9.5 years old, when he told the court, I don't know what drugs are. And even the legal guardian, she was on my side, okay, for the first 2.5 years. And then all flipped it.
Right. Wow.
I mean, and that's me cutting it short. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much more stuff that they did. They broke court orders that the judge, I had nothing to do with it. They broke those court orders and never got penalized for it.
Right.
Like, how do you break a judge's court orders as a prosecutor, as the plaintiff, and you're not getting in trouble? That's how I know this is corrupt. And I used to get mad because I'm like, listen, don't insult my intelligence. Okay? You people think that I'm stupid. I may not speak the most proper English in the world, but that doesn't mean I'm a stupid person. I know, I'm like, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. I know what you've done. Okay? I know how you did it. And you're mad because of that. And you're retaliating. It's malicious prosecution. It's false prosecution and prosecutional misconduct. I mean, these people, my cousin is a judge in Ohio. He's a Superior Court judge in Ohio, but he can't do anything here, But I can still ask him questions because he used to live here.
Why didn't you have any connection with anyone that can help you?
Nah.
Oh my God.
he doesn't, I mean, he's in his 70s, he's getting ready to retire, and he deals now with like murder trials and stuff like that, so, but I don't like to bother him too much, but if it's something really bad, then I call and I ask his advice, and he's really upset about it, but I don't need another family member getting sick. I mean, I don't want to be a burden to anybody in my family, So it's just,
This is not about you being a burden. I mean, that's about your child. It shouldn't be that you're a burden to your family.
no, they don't make me feel that way, It's just that I know that they've all gotten sick over this, and heaven forbid something happened to them. I don't want nothing to happen to them. They already took my son. My daughter, she left 2 days later, I just, I don't know. I don't know anymore. I'm out of answers. These lawyers in New Jersey, they lie. I mean, they don't tell the truth. They don't present the evidence. Like, I called the ombudsman. He doesn't care. I called the marshals because I don't even know where my son is now. They took him out of his school. I don't even know where he is. And I haven't seen him in 2 years. Over 2. So, but I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to quit. It's my only son. If I quit on him, even though he's mad at me right now because they lied to him, it's not his fault. And I'm not going to quit on him. I mean, they've stolen my 40s from me, so, and part of my health. But it's my son. I have to keep fighting for him. What am I going to do? But I don't know where else to go. I don't know anymore. Because I know that these people have no soul. The only thing I can do is slap them with a lawsuit for everything that they've done. Because they're negligent for all of this. And I have a paper trail with the police. And I have witnesses. And they don't have any of that stuff. They just have people that take the stand and lie. That's all they have. And what they pounded into my son's head by telling him, if you don't say this, you're going to go into foster care. You're not going to go to your mother or any of your family. You're going to go back into foster care. This is what they do. They're browbeating my son. Oh, I don't want to show him, but
So do you have any questions for Davis to answer to help
what,
you out with this?
I mean, what would you, I don't even know what to ask him because what do I do with these people? What do I do with them, Mr. Davis? I don't even know what to do with them anymore. Like, I don't know.
When is your next court date?
Well, I don't have a next court date. My attorney filed, you would know what it is, after they terminate your rights and then you appeal it and they deny it. He took it to that level now after that.
So your rights were terminated.
Yeah, my rights are terminated.
But this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you say this year?
Okay. Did you file an appeal?
Yeah, we appealed. They said no, and now he filed like a civil action. That's going to be it would be in Newark in that court, and I already know what's going to happen in that court. I already know.
So you have a lawyer for the civil case?
Well, he's a public defender.
Well, usually public defenders don't file civil rights cases.
he works for the state. He's nobody that I hired. He works for the state. They after they terminated my rights, the lawyer that I had, she was upset and she quit and she started her own practice and they gave me this guy. So I think he has his own practice, but I guess he's affiliated with them. I don't exactly know how that works, you know? So, I mean, he's a nice guy, but he knows that what they've done is a crime. He knows that there's no evidence, and he knows that I have evidence against them, and he's not reporting this. And I'm like, why? And I'm like, I understand that you have to work around these people, but you also have to uphold the law. Like, I don't understand. You took an oath. What is going on? I know that those people are corrupt, but my own lawyer, like, you know, they have no evidence. You're sitting there telling me they have no, and we both know this. Why is my son not home? Why? You know? And we all know CPS or DCP&P, their policy is if the parent has a problem, whatever it may be, if they fix that problem, you return the child. You don't keep going ahead. Those grandparents had written so many letters to the judges that they wanted my son, and he kept saying no, no, no. So I mean, I had at least 5 judges. They're ridiculous. They just put me all through.
You said your story. You said your case is in New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. There was an attorney that was on the show. His name is Michael, but he's in New York. I don't know if he takes on New Jersey cases at all. But have you tried calling him?
I usually don't call attorneys from New York because I'm not sure, you know, and
He practices in New York and New Jersey.
Oh, okay. The other thing, I don't even have the money to hire a CPS lawyer again after those other lawyers took all that money. And I'm like trying to talk to these lawyers like, look, you can look over all the evidence, you can talk to the witnesses. There's a lawsuit here. You'll get paid because these people broke the law. They're abusive. My son admitted that he did not have tics until he was at his paternal aunt's house. And also, they can pull my son's medical records from the whole time he was with me. He had the same pediatrician that my daughter had since she was 5 to 19. And I also said to that side of the family, you're narcotics officers. Okay, I've spent 2 weeks at your house sleeping over so you could see my son. Okay, don't you think you would have knew then that I was doing drugs if I was a drug addict? Why did you wait all these years if I'm a drug?
1 second, Star. Did they give you a drug test? Did they do a drug test? Did you?
Hair follicle test from 2 different labs.
And it was negative?
Yeah.
Wow.
17 panel.
Oh, okay then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say go for it. Go sue the pants out of them.
But I can't find an attorney that wants to be bothered with anything.
That's why I said call. His name is Michael Cesario. Cesario. I can give you his number if you want to write it down.
Okay.
Oh no, I can't give you his cell number. Am I crazy?
Yeah, you.
Wait, 1 second. No, I can't do that.
Yeah,
but
no.
I just remembered. That's not my decision to make. Hold on. Let me just get you his work number. 1 second.
I,
Okay. His
oh boy, I have to plug my phone in, so I have to move around a little bit. I don't know why the battery today is just dying so fast.
yeah, feel the same way.
I think
Um,
sometimes I fall asleep with the charger, and that's why. Okay,
okay, let me know if you're ready. It's 855.
give me 1 second. Okay. Got to get my pen back out. Okay. 855
484
484. Yeah.
3069.
And his name is Mike.
Michael, I'll spell the last name for you. Is D as in David, ISCIOARRO.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry for crying. It's just that this is very hard for me, especially with it for so many years. It's just very hard for me.
Hey, Star.
Yeah.
We've come to the end of the show, and I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story. We're looking for a New Jersey president to join us in a fight to change laws through voting and getting people to vote. Would you be interested in joining us?
Sure.
Okay, Grace is going to call you, the executive producer. She's helping me put the list together of all the captains for each state. Then we're going to get captains for each county in the state. And then perhaps, even if we can, perhaps captains in each of the major cities. So if you would volunteer to help us, we would really appreciate it. And I will be telling people in separate meetings how we're going to do, what we're going to do to change laws. Okay? All right. I muted you because we're having some sound issues with you. So I'm going to mute you and just thank you again for coming on. All right? Good night, Star. And we'll be talking to you and look forward to working with you in the future. Okay, we have the Three Musketeers, Miss Truan. Before we sign off for good this evening, any questions, comments?
Yeah, I actually have a question. You think based on what she said, she has a good civil lawsuit, correct? Based on what she's telling us, we don't know what's in the papers because I know that we hear things, but then what's written down is different. So,
Well, I say yes, but I would have to say really, I don't know because I haven't reviewed her file. And anybody whose rights have been terminated because of a couple concepts called res judicata, collateral estoppel, you don't have a good of a lawsuit as if you would have had the child been returned to you. Now, is that a complete and absolute bar to your lawsuit? No. As a matter of fact, was talking to someone about a case today that I personally know about, where the woman lost her child, sued the county for civil rights violations, and won. And I forget if the award was like, she went to trial. The award was like 3 million or 6 million, something like that.
6. I think I know who you're talking about. I think it was like 7 million actually, and there's another one that won 4.9 million recently.
Yeah, but did that person lose their parental rights?
No.
Yeah. See, when you lose your parental rights, that takes away from your civil lawsuit, in my opinion. You have a couple of higher hurdles to overcome.
Well, what do you think about what she said? And I will let Darren take his turn with you as well. But real quick, what do you think about what she said about the parental parents' connection with the court system? What do you think about parents who have connection with the court system? That means, like deep connection with the judges or because of their work status, what have you. I mean, like, for instance, one of your clients currently found out recently that literally her ex is connected to the sheriff department. His wife is connected to the sheriff department, to juvenile dependency, pretty much everywhere in the court, they know who this person is and they all help them, even the police department. So with that being said, I mean, what's sad is like even the real estate person that sold her the place she lives in to another person is relatives to his wife, her ex's wife. So with that being said, when the system is all connected together, right? That other parent, the mom, has no help financially, mentally, nothing. She has nothing. What can somebody like that do? Where can they turn to? How can they be heard? So maybe a civil attorney can take over their case. What should they be prepared for to say their story effectively without scatting it everywhere where it doesn't make sense because they're emotional? What's your recommendation to people like that wants to sue them and sue them for defamation of character as well? Can that be played in it as well? Defamation of character. So I asked you two things.
Let me answer the first one first.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing they should do is they should type out their story. And let me tell you why. Because a lot of times I talk to people and they have either they're in a hurry or they think I'm in a hurry or I might be in court. And there's a problem sometimes when they want to tell me everything all at once. And sometimes they're rushing, well, Mr. Davis, I got 30 minutes and I got a 2-hour story. What am I going to tell you? Right? I got 30 minutes and I got a 2-hour story.
Mm-hmm.
If you type out the story, double space, 14-point font, chronological order, you can give the story to the attorney or the attorney case manager, and they can read it and decide, if you should move forward with the lawsuit with them. So that's how you can get a 2-hour story into a 30-minute session. Then you have the session with the attorney, on the phone. Hopefully after the attorney has read the story. The second thing is, and really this is the first thing. The first thing, you got to find a lawyer. You got to find a competent attorney. And I hear a lot of times, Mr. Davis, I can't find an attorney. Is there some truth in that? Yes. But in my opinion, it is a defeatist attitude, and you got to keep looking. You got to keep looking because there is someone out there that will help you.
No.
Excuse me. Did you want me to answer the question?
Yeah, but I also wanted you to include something in that so you can answer the question effectively for me and others. What?
Well,
how can they write it down? How can they write? What should they start with instead of writing down their emotions? Basically, like what do you recommend?
Tell me a story. Tell me a story. Once upon a time. Blah, blah, blah. Chronological order. Tell me a story of what has happened in your CPS case. That's what I'm interested as a lawyer that tries, thousands of these cases over my career. A lot of times people think, this is what I want to give you. And I think, well, that's not what I need. I ask you to do something certain. Before I came over to do the show today, I had a meeting with a client. And one of his relatives. And during the conversation, he told me about 5 times, about 5 different communications he had with the social worker. And after that, I said to him, hey, man, didn't I tell you never talk to the social worker without me? And he said, yeah, but there was that one time you asked me to ask the social worker, blah, blah, blah. And I said, man, I never ask you to say that to the social worker. I would never ask you to say that. And I said, show me. He said, you texted to me. I said, show me. He pulls out his phone, he goes through his phone, and he comes up with the text. And the text is a text to the social worker. Thank you, Mary, for your call. Sorry I couldn't answer it. I was working. But now that you ask, let me tell you, blah, 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 blah. And he's reading this, and this was the justification for him talking to the social worker because he claims I told him to have that conversation. The relative that was with him just started laughing uncontrollably and shaking their head. You know why? Because people don't listen to me. And it's okay. 25 years ago, I used to get upset. Not anymore. You want to listen to me? That's great. You don't want to listen to me? That's great too.
So, guys, if you want to write a story, basically don't say she, he. Address it to the attorney as social worker, my husband, or my daughter. Because when you say she, he, the attorney doesn't know what he's reading about. Am I right, Attorney Davis?
Well, it's always good to use good written language, English language skills. And, I try to ask people not to use pronouns, he, she, they, we, mainly because that most people don't know the rules about using pronouns in terms of the subject of the sentence or the paragraph. So just don't use pronouns, use the person's name. Social worker Johnson. Mother.
The person's title, not the name, because if they mention the name, you don't know who Mary White is.
Right. So, try to be as specific as possible. All right. So I hope that answers. Those are two of the top things that you can do to try to work up your case and talk to an attorney about something, very specific. Mr. Why, any questions you have for me before we wrap up tonight?
What do you think about all the talk that everybody says, hey, let's go after the judges' surety bonds or their performance bonds or these things in these courtrooms? What say you, Mr. Davis?
Let me see how I can say this politically correct. Balderdash. You might as well be going after their firstborn, because that ain't going to work either. Okay?
Yeah. Hey.
All right. I mean, that's one of those internet theories for $49.95. Right. That's going to get you selling you that snake oil.
Well, you just see there's a lot of chatter about it, like go get their bonds, go after their bonds, go after their surety bonds, go after this, and you go after that. And
let me ask you something.
Look, I'm just grounding myself with you. That's what I'm like. Hey, I'm gonna talk to the real lawyer that's gonna, that knows this stuff.
Have you ever seen one documented case where someone did that and they got their kid back?
Negative. Not that I've seen. No. I haven't put that much into it. I just read it, and it seems like that's the common online, concept right now to go after is that go after their bonds, do that type of stuff.
You ever see anything on the internet where they're selling a magic pill to lose 50 pounds overnight? You ever see anything like that?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
The shorts are something, Mr. Kwai.
You like my Rocky shorts? Yeah. Yes, I do love these pills that you do. And guess what? They're no more worth this bottle than they are the pill that's inside of them.
Right, I noticed you had to dig deep into the cabinet, which means you're not using them every day.
Yeah, right.
The reason why you're not using them every day because they don't work, right? And how much did you pay? $29.95, $39.95?
No, those ones. I don't want to say the name of them and everything, but no, those ones were $175.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good one. Someone's happy.
So you'd be the kind of guy that would buy the $49.95 surety bond argument.
Nope, I'm the kind of guy that would ask Mr. Davis because I have access to him before I go try to buy anything like that.
Right.
But no, that just seems to be like the number one. If you look online, that's the number one thing that everybody's, because I look through the stuff all day, and that's like the hot topic, like the trending, if you will, in CPS is those surety bonds.
Everyone wants a quick, easy solution, and we are drawn to something that sounds new. That's how human natures are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, there's no magic pill.
Yeah, I mean, I would think after 30 years of being in the business, you would have found it by now.
Yeah, it would have.
Mm-hmm.
Those pills don't work. Too good to be true.
Mm-hmm.
I won, and I did nothing for them. I even got arrested. Really? You won? Like the Jesus Holy Water commercial that comes on around 2 a.m. You know why those work at those 2 a.m.? One of the reasons why they work. I actually was reading about this in marketing and sales. You know why it works? Because at 2 a.m., you're half asleep and you don't really know what the hell you're doing.
I figured at 2 a.m., if you're up like that, you're one of those people trying to look for a life change, and they got you.
Yeah. 3C's, Mama, like the Ozempic shot.
I think that would be, you know what? I think that's a good thing that we should do. Because I hunt this stuff, and I know Miss G does too. I think we need to, every day we should come up with a topic online that we find that you can, that we bring to you that's, it's not out there, but it's what people are. I mean, you can't blame people for trying. You definitely cannot blame people for trying to do things. But, there's a lot of people that are trying to get to you just to ask these questions. Maybe that's what we should do every show. I know we always try to do an every show thing, but like the tip of the day, like today's tip is probably going to be don't buy the magic pills at 2 a.m.
Don't buy the surety bond argument. It's not going to get you your pills. So 3C's, Mama, seminar is still Saturday, first Saturday in September. So I don't know if that's September 3rd or 2nd.
Second. Are you doing any Labor Day specials for that?
I think Grace is doing something. She and I briefly talked about it. So maybe she'll send out an email blast or post on our Facebook pages.
Yeah.
Here's the last question. I wish I could afford the seminar.
Oh, Lord. Oh, maybe that would.
Attorney Davis, what can I do to get the sheriff to release the application of warrant to get my medical records? The application was signed under penalty of perjury. They're stonewalling me. You have to make a motion to compel, Lloyd. Talk to your attorney and make a motion to compel the subpoena. My doctor didn't fill out my STD form, so my claim got denied.
Yeah, you want to fill those out.
Okay, here's the last question. Why do people keep CPS investigating them? Does the Fourth Amendment apply? Fourth Amendment applies, the truth movement. It certainly applies in every state and in every court, including CPS courts. All right, folks, good night. We'll see everyone tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Ms. G, Mr. Y, thank you for joining. Good night.